Hi everyone, and welcome back to another creative session here at Polka Art Studio. Today we're making something really fun, an easy no-sew journal with a beautiful see-through case window. It's the perfect project for showcasing the gorgeous papers from the Flora and Fauna and Field Notes collections. Our idea was to create something that looks like a charming little display cabinet, but without making it complicated. So even if you're new to journaling, you can absolutely do this. To make it super beginner-friendly, we've put together a free printable for you. You can download it from the link in the description. Inside, you'll find the pre-sized panels to create your journal cover, plus all the tiny decorative pieces that will sit on the shelves to give that lovely 3D cabinet effect. The journal has 4 signatures, each with about 8 pages. We've mixed in papers from our journal kits with a variety of other textures for contrast, things like vellum, calligraphy paper, and a few random favourites from our own stash. This mix of materials gives the journal a lovely layered feel and keeps every page interesting. You won't need a huge list of supplies for this project. We've listed everything we used in the description. One thing we really recommend having on hand, though, is a few foam pads and some brads for decorating the cover and adding a bit of dimension. And since this is a no-sew journal, we'll be using elastic to bind the signatures together, which makes it quick, easy, and totally beginner-friendly. We've also popped all the kits we used to create this journal into the description, so you can easily find them if you'd like to follow along with the same designs. We hope you'll have as much fun making this project as we did, so let's jump right in and get started. For the cover, we're using Chipboard. 2 panels measuring 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches for the front and back, and 1 spine piece measuring 2 inches by 8.5 inches. Like in most of our videos, we'll be using craft tape to connect the panels. Simply place the tape underneath, then align the first panel to the spine, leaving a small gap between them. This gap is important as it allows the cover to fold easily. Once that's in place, attach the second panel to the other side of the spine in the same way. Once that's done, apply glue or double-sided tape over the entire surface of your cover, then attach it to a sheet of paper that's about half an inch larger all around. We're using craft wrapping paper for ours, but you can use any paper you like, or even join 2 pages from the kit together to make a larger sheet. Burnish everything well to make sure the paper sticks evenly, smoothing out any wrinkles and pushing out any air bubbles as you go. Now we can miter the corners. That means trimming away the excess paper at each corner, leaving a small gap about the thickness of your chipboard, so the paper will fold neatly without tearing. Once the corners are trimmed, fold each side inwards and glue them down, starting with the longer edges first. Press firmly as you go to make sure the paper sticks well and gives you a nice crisp finish all around the cover. On each side of the spine, you can add another strip of craft tape. This part will stay visible, so it adds a nice bit of contrast and gives the cover a subtle leather-like appearance that works really well with the overall design. Now we can bring in the freebie elements. We'll need all of them for this part, along with a panel of acetate or clear plastic for the window. We've already cut out the window section inside the frame, and I've added a bit of stitching around it for decoration and to give it a lovely handmade touch. To prepare the pieces, score and fold along both sides of the pink strip, on all edges. What we're doing here is creating a raised edge, almost like a shallow tray or box frame, which will form the structure for our case window. We'll also score and fold along all the sides of the inner frame. This will help it sit neatly inside the cover and reinforce the frame. First, we'll measure the acetate and cut it to fit neatly inside the frame, making sure it covers the window opening completely while leaving enough edge to glue it securely in place. Apply double-sided tape around the window opening on the inside of the main frame, then carefully place the acetate over it. Press it down firmly so it sticks well. Now that the acetate is in place, we can glue the inner frame directly inside the main frame. We're gluing it with the pattern side facing forward. That way, if there's any slightly uneven cutting, you won't see any white edges, just the matching pattern. Make sure to align the edges carefully so they sit right on top of the main frame's edges. This not only makes it look neat, but also adds extra strength to the whole piece. The next step is optional, but we thought it would be a lovely detail to add some decorative brads along the sides of the frame. We're placing 7 brads on each side, spaced 1 inch apart, and 4 brads along the top, also 1 inch apart. Just remember, the top of the frame is the narrower side, and the bottom is the wider one, so make sure you're measuring and placing them on the correct edges. At the bottom, we'll be adding a metal label holder, and inside it we're using one of the labels from the add-on kit. This adds a lovely finishing touch and also ties in perfectly with the rest of the journal's theme. To secure the label holder in place, we'll attach it using 2 mini brads, one on each side, so it's firmly held while still looking decorative. Now we'll need the background panel. To make it sturdier and easier to attach to the frame, we're going to mount it onto a piece of heavy cardboard as a backing. Just be sure to check the thickness. Adding the backing will make it a bit bulkier, so you'll want to make sure it still fits neatly inside the frame. If it feels a little too snug, you can always trim the background panel slightly so it fits perfectly inside the frame. Next, we'll lightly trace the opening of the window onto the background panel before we start arranging the elements. This way, we can make sure every piece fits neatly within the frame and nothing gets hidden or cut off once it's assembled. Now that we've traced the frame, we can start arranging the elements. We'll begin with the drawers and shelves, as these will act as our guide for placing everything else. We've already prepared a mock-up for you showing exactly how the pieces should sit, so I'm simply following that layout to keep everything balanced and in place. Pick up the 3 drawer pieces. They'll be arranged from smallest to largest, with the smallest at the top and the largest at the bottom. Placing the small one at the top will help us find the position for the first shelf, which should sit just underneath it. Then we can place the second drawer so that its bottom edge lines up with the first shelf, add the second shelf right underneath, and continue in the same way for the third drawer and final shelf. This step-by-step placement keeps everything evenly spaced and gives the frame a balanced, tidy look. We'll start by gluing all the shelves into place first, making sure they're straight and evenly spaced. This will give us a solid structure to work from when adding the rest of the elements. From here on, we'll follow the map provided and start placing the rest of the elements. Most of them will have foam pads underneath to lift them up slightly. This creates that lovely 3D effect and makes the whole scene inside the frame come to life. Now our frame is complete, and it's really starting to look like a charming little display cabinet. All the layers, textures, and 3D details give it so much character. As you can see, there's an empty spot at the bottom. You can leave it as is, or if you'd like to add a little extra detail, you can fill it by layering a few elements from the kit to create more visual interest. It's now time to attach the frame to the 3D panel. Apply glue all along the inside edges of the frame, then carefully wrap those edges around to the back of your cabinet panel, pressing firmly so everything is secure and well aligned. The only thing left to do now is glue the whole assembled piece to the front cover of your journal, making sure it's centered and firmly pressed down so it stays in place. Next, we'll cut a panel to cover the outside of the back cover, giving it a clean, finished look and helping protect it from wear. Next, we'll decorate the spine. We've cut a strip of decorative paper that's slightly longer than the height of our journal, so we can wrap it neatly over the top and bottom edges for a more polished finish. Then we'll cut another strip of contrasting paper, this time slightly narrower than the spine, so that the first layer peeks out from underneath. We'll glue this strip on top, creating a lovely layered effect that adds depth and interest to the spine. Next, we'll cover the interior. For this, you'll need a wider panel that can sit in the middle, wide enough to cover the entire spine area and overlap onto about a quarter of each cover. This will hide the joins, strengthen the spine, and give the inside a neat, professional look. Measure and cut 2 panels to cover the inside of each cover, making sure they fit neatly alongside the center panel so the entire interior is cleanly covered and well finished. The next step is optional, but if you'd like to add a decorative chain with charms, here's how you can do it. Place the spine template over your journal spine, then mark 2 spots, roughly in the center, between the first 2 binding holes. Punch holes at those marks, and, for a more polished and sturdy finish, you can add eyelets to reinforce them before attaching your chain. We'll add the charms along the chain using small metal circles called jump rings. They make it easy to attach the charms securely while still allowing them to dangle and move freely. Now we can start the binding. Place the binding template on top of the spine, making sure it's perfectly aligned with the cover. Then punch the holes exactly where they're marked on the template so everything lines up neatly for the elastic binding. Next, we'll reinforce the holes with eyelets. Just make sure the eyelets you choose are small enough so that 4 can fit comfortably in a row without overlapping. Time to add the signatures. As we mentioned earlier, we have 4 of them. To place them inside, we'll start by using the same template we used for the spine to mark where the holes should go. Simply fold the template in half so it fits inside the folded pages of each signature, then mark the hole positions directly onto the paper. Mark each signature in the same way, making sure the holes line up perfectly so everything will sit evenly once bound. Now we'll punch the holes where we marked them, keeping the pages neatly stacked so the holes stay aligned. This will make threading the elastic much easier and ensure the signatures sit nice and straight inside the journal. You'll need 4 strips of elastic, each the same length as the vertical height of your journal. We'll bind the signatures in pairs, 2 signatures per elastic. To do this, take the first elastic and insert one end through the top hole of the first signature, then pass the other end through the second hole. From there, feed both ends through the corresponding holes in the journal cover so the elastic sits snugly along the spine. At this point, take the elastic across to the parallel hole on the outside of the spine, then feed it back through to the inside and into the second signature. This way, both signatures share the same elastic loop, keeping them securely in place while still allowing the journal to open and close easily. Now we can tie the ends of the elastic inside the second signature, pulling them just tight enough to hold everything securely without warping the pages. Trim off any excess elastic, and your first 2 signatures are bound in place. We'll now repeat the exact same process using the bottom 2 holes of those same signatures, so each one is secured at both the top and bottom for extra stability. Now you can pick up the second set of signatures and repeat the same binding process, securing them in place just like we did with the first set. This will give us a neat, tidy look on the outside while keeping everything securely in place inside the journal. And that's our project all finished. You've got a beautiful no-sew journal with a see-through case window, decorated and bound, ready to fill with all your favourite papers, memories and little treasures. I hope you enjoyed crafting along with me, and if you make your own version, I'd love to see it. Share it in our Facebook group or tag Polka Art Studio on social media. Until next time, happy crafting.